Have you ever been praying and then a random wicked thought will just pop up into your head, or curse words, or that thing you did in the past will just pop up out of nowhere, and you're like, where did that come from? And the next thing you know, you feel bad about it, and you're praying and you're repenting, you're like, God, I'm sorry, like, I don't know why I'm thinking about these things, like, I'm sorry, or maybe you won't even come and pray because you feel like it's just gonna happen again, or you feel too wicked to begin with. The next thing you know, you're praying and repenting to God for something that isn't even your thought. Let me explain. You see, we have a thought process, and it's like a line, and it just keeps moving, and it just keeps going and going. And it's a matter of what we are thinking about. It's a matter of what we meditate on. The Bible says, think of all things pure, lovely, praiseworthy, and meditate on those things. Because if we aren't meditating on those things and the things of God, then we are subject to suggestions by someone else that isn't God. And then we'll think it's ourselves. So if I'm moving in this thought process and I wander from the good and the pure and holy praiseworthy thoughts, I'm going to get suggested by something else. And then I'm going to think that it's my thought. But the reason God tells us to think about all things pure is because that is how we recognize His voice. Jesus says, my sheep hear my voice, and my sheep know me and I know them, and to strangers they don't listen to. If I am just walking on the street and then some random person comes up and screams at me and says something awful to me, a wicked thing, and then all of a sudden I stop them, I ignore them, and then I start apologizing to God for what I heard. Does that make sense? No, it is the same exact thing in prayer or in our thoughts. We need to recognize what is of God and what is from the enemy. Us humans are described as sheep in the Bible. Why? What are sheep like? They go wherever the herd goes. They go to whatever voice is talking to them. They are gullible, easily manipulated. This is why Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. And then the Bible says that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable and pleasing to God, which is your reasonable service and your true and proper worship. And do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may approve what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So by submitting to God and bringing our line of thought on all things pure, holy, and praiseworthy, we will begin to recognize His voice. And then we will know the voice of our shepherd, who is Jesus, and as strangers we won't listen to. And we will no longer have to apologize for the intrusive thoughts that aren't even ours.